New business?
I have something that I'd like to discuss with the council, if that's possible.
Sure.
I'm a little concerned about the way that information is distributed among not just council, but also for individual departments. I know that there used to be a master email list that went out to the heads of departments. I know specifically, like when we're having an event, that the police, the DPW, the fire, EMS, September 11th, that there was a master email list that went out to everybody, notifying them and inviting them to come. And speaking to some of the people in those departments, the way that they're finding out about events is through Facebook. And I don't think that that is a reliable source of information. And I'm wondering if we could talk about maybe putting together a master email list for departments that need to be notified of these kinds of things. The second concern that I have is really the way that information is passed and given to council. For instance, the Northwood Fire Lane, to me, that was a surprise. That was news. And I found out on an agenda. Raises, staffing changes. There was a staffing change just recently because somebody went out on disability and there was somebody temporarily hired, but I feel like I'm lacking information. So when people come to me and they say, hey, I heard that you hired this new person in this department, I'm like, what? I have no idea. And again, like with land use issues, I mean, if your response to me is I have to attend land use board meetings and not say anything, I can absolutely do that. And that's no big deal. But like Hudson Maxim School is turning into a Hudson Maxim School of music. But like, I would like to be notified of that as a sitting council member. And so I wanted to kind of discuss that with the council about how they felt about that, those two things.
I would like to say something. So Jennifer, you bring up a point like
Who's
about
talking?
the school.
Who's talking? Oh, I'm sorry, Rich. Okay.
You bring up this topic about like the Hudson Maxim School.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Specifically that those people haven't even come in front of us yet. We don't know what they are going to do. So we're still waiting for them to come. So there is no communication to the rest of the council regarding that. I wish there was. I wish we can come, you would know something, but I think what you're hearing is just feedback on Facebook or someone hearing something else and saying something to you. You have to be prepared to say, I don't know. Let me find out, that type of thing. And I think it comes down to a lot with Ron. Ron is really the manager of all the employees. We don't manage the employees. Ron does. And actually the mayor oversees Ron as in the organizational chart.
Right.
So, I think that's part of the issue, what you're sensing, because you're hearing some things from the outside. And
I don't like to be caught off guard and kind of made, right? Like, so when Northwood came up, that was just on an agenda. It had obviously been discussed in some way, shape, or form somewhere. And then it just showed up on an agenda. And it was like, well, where did this come from? Why did this happen? How did this get here? It's kind of like, I feel like I'm always, and again, I'm not going to speak for anybody, but I always feel like I'm, and I don't know if it's I don't want to assume that it's on purpose because I try not to personalize anything, but is it that I'm being left out of discussions and the information is I'm not getting the information until it's on an agenda. And then I have to play catch up, which is why, Valerie and Lorraine and Ron get emails from me all the time. What is this? Or I'll call Mike. What is this? Explain it to me. What are we doing? Why are we doing this? How did this get here? And they all offer perfect explanations, but it's almost like I'm playing catch up every meeting.
But you have to realize, though, that you and I, and other members really shouldn't be discussing certain things in private.
We're not
We need to
discussing,
have-
we're not discussing it. We're being informed of it.
Okay, but I don't need to know everything that's happening over at the community center that Dawn is handling. Okay, but I find out that stuff on the agenda. And if I have a real question, I will call Val or Dawn or the mayor and find out. That's just my opinion, but
Well, really, the agenda is the way that the council gets official notification, and if something is deliberative, it's really difficult unless you're personally involved. If you were involved with Northwood community and there were issues, of course, we would have discussion of that. But the council as a whole is informed of that when we introduce an ordinance or talk about the issues, whatever, as we are now. And that's how we address that. But really, the agenda is the official way that the council is formally apprised of any and all issues. I'm going to talk about stuff when I talk, and so I'll go into what I'm going to say. Did that help you?
No, not at all.
All right.
Because I know that it hasn't always been like this, where it's the agenda is where it is, and that's it. I know that there were in July and August, Ron gave us personnel updates, right? When we had the switch over in the one department and the switch over in the other department, There was a personnel report that came out. That was awesome. That was great. I like to know things because I don't like to be caught off guard. And as sitting council members, you guys should also not want to be caught off guard. When somebody asks you a question, of course, sometimes there's going to be the answer, let me get back to you, which is often my answer. But when it's something that I feel that we as a council should know already, then it's kind of embarrassing, I'll say.
At the end, to your point, Jennifer, we'll talk about improving that type of communication, but there's a line that we watch. When it comes to personnel, the council, the political body doesn't manage our personnel.
No. Just notification.
Yeah.
Just notification. All right. I'm not saying that we have to be involved in every decision that's made in the borough. I'm saying notification.
Okay. Point well taken.
Okay. And then the other one was the email list. Can we do that? The master email list?
Yeah.
How do we feel about that?
Are you talking about the rescue squad, the police department, DPW? What are you talking about?
Yes. Well, yes.
Listen, if I have to tell any of them that we're having a 911 ceremony, if I have to email them and tell them we're having a 911 ceremony, shame on us. We will, if that helps. Everybody in this borough's administration knows what we're going to do and when we're going to do it. They do. And that's the police, that's the rescue, that's the fire, that's the DPW, because every one of them plays a part before we have that event. They all know it. Now, if it will make you more comfortable that we send everybody an email saying we'd like you to come, we can do that.
It's not about
but
what I'm comfortable with.
Don't assume. No.
I've been asked for.
Don't assume they don't know. That's not true. Not true.
I don't assume anything. I'm not assuming anything.
Yeah,
These are conversations that I've had that this is what I've been asked for. There used to be a master email list for all departments, and they've asked to be put on a master email list. And I go and say, we don't have a master email list.
Well, if that's the police department, I will speak to the chief. We'll make sure that they're apprised of any and all of our activities, especially if they're special events.
Okay. I don't understand what the drawback is for having people more informed about events.
I think, Jennifer, Mayor, if I may add, I'll give you one example. Chief Brennan's last call. Nobody in the building got an invitation for that because the police didn't send it out.
That's okay.
It doesn't matter. We will,
as the administrator. I personally, as the administrator, I had to go over and say, hey, we're doing the last call for the chief of police that's retiring after multiple years of service in this borough. I had to go seek that information out. So a lot of this is about who is sponsoring the event. That's where the ownership of this is. It's not about the administration having this wherewithal of sending out all this information to brass. We can put it all email. That's easy. That's very easy. But if I don't know when the chief is retiring, I can't send anything out. So it's a lot about what the sending agencies are about.
We will make sure every
everything.
department, we will make sure every department is apprised of any and all special events.
Okay, that was all that I was.
They'll get used to it, but yeah, that's fine. Yeah, we will. There's a lot of points that we can take a look at, and by the way, we can always improve, always. So it's not going to be status quo, and if we can do something that makes it a little bit better, we certainly will.